Orb presents Bright Lights, Dean City.
This is Gary Butterfield.
This is Cole Ross.
This is Gwen Static.
And hey, it's Orb. Orbing around.
It's Orb.
I'm rusty. And we're talking about one of our favorite episodes, or one of my favorite episodes. Don't want to speak for Cole, but I can speak for Gwen, our guest, who you know as the composer of our absolutely slapping theme song.
Thank you. If I had 20 more minutes to prepare, I would have plugged in this microbrew I was just talking about, Gary, and tried to play a riff from it. But oh well. Did we want to talk about why I picked this at this point, or?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
God. Season 4 was a hard pick, Gary. I agonized over this one because I love half the episodes in season 4, and it's like a jam-packed season. Every Which Way But Zeus is a favorite. The thing about season 4 that I like is it's so dense with one-off ideas. This is the season where they really start to embrace, let's just build a stupid universe around all of this.
Yeah.
I don't think any episode greater emphasizes that. Zeus comes close, but no episode emphasizes it greater than Bright Lights, Dean City.
Zeus is weirdly backward looking because it pulls in just a lot of third stringers from the past. Yeah. This is casting kind of a wider net out. They talk about it in the commentary. It's like, hey, if we meet all these weirdos in the shitty desert towns where the Ventures live, imagine how many freaks in New York need company.
A lot of freaks like me need company there. This episode to me, Gwen, I think you're right on in that it's like expanding the universe, and it feels like a dry run for season 6.
Absolutely.
Which I really love. I love the New York years of the Venture Brothers. Season 4 is my favorite season, but this is kind of a preview of the problem of the week kind of rhythm they get into in season 6 that I find really compelling because I really like all these weird ideas, and I like all the pun names, and the tickitude that comes into the Venture Brothers is really fun to me.
Yeah.
It feels like the conclusion of a grand realization that they were having, that they were growing bored with some of the toys that they had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's interesting too, because when you read in the art book, they talk about season 5, it almost feels like saying goodbye to that. They talk about how they were like, let's just, let's do a Johnny Quest parody show that's just real fun and full of adventures. And they get in kind of one last gasp of that. I don't think season 5 is super strong in comparison, right? It's still great.
Yeah.
But can see
if you forced me to rank the seasons, 5 is probably the second worst. It's not horrid by any means, because even season 1's not horrid.
Oh, they haven't made a bad season. I think I like 5 more than I like 7, but I think I'm an outlier in not being a big 7 guy. We'll get into all that in the future as well. You're live.
Yeah.
We're very happy to have you, Gwen.
I'm very happy to be here as always. This is just a delight in my life. Yeah. Listening to it, the network in general, general gratitudes, etc., etc. Everything to Guppy. Join the Slack, everyone.
You're in the cult. Yep. You see Will neg my band for weird reasons that I can't, other than just the fact that I care about it.
In the grand tradition of subtweeting your other shows on other shows.
Yes.
Will created an unlistenable mess with the Wings commentary, and he's mad that people aren't complimenting him on it.
It's hard to tell where the kayfabe ends with Will. He's like an evil Brayton. Brayton does that kind of thing, but it's always for good.
Yes.
Brayton will play a board game, and he plays deception games, but he doesn't play them by logical rules, which makes it impossible to play against him. But he does it for fun reasons. Will does that with a lot of his life, but he does it for evil reasons, I think.
Yeah, no, he's playing it. He's conversations against the Slack. It's fun, everyone. Join the Slack. Anyway,
he's putting the whole system on trial with every given breath. This episode It was written not by Will Hughes, but instead by Jackson Publick, and it aired originally on October 10th, 2010.
Yeah. This is the other half of the What I Did on My Summer Vacation story that began in Everybody Comes to Hanks. I knew that these were, so we said last time that these were originally part of an episode. In the commentary for this, they also say that this was also part of Pomp and Circuitry, and the prom was going to be one scene. Like just kind of like dispatching with all of this growing up in one episode, which is like, that's almost too much for a movie, guys.
They've learned a lot of pacing lessons in this year specifically.
Yeah. And the pacing trick they learned is to let some of this stuff breathe, because that's the kind of humor that they do. You know, there's not a rush. Like the idea of having these things be very dense with plot is a little silly.
Yeah.
You know, we don't really need that, but being dense with like incident and character and humor is more important. Yeah.
All right, cool. So I texted this to Gary when I was first thinking about this episode, and he seemed perplexed. Is Bright Lights Dean City the Luigi's Mansion to What I Did on My Summer Vacations, Mario Sunshine?
I like
yes or no answers only, Cole.
Wait a minute. To whose Sunshine? Everybody Comes
the
to
other
Hanks?
Episode.
Yeah.
Like they are night and day, and I had some other English major bullshit I sent Gary, but
so
the general idea is that they both originated on the idea of being a one product and kind of coin flips of each other.
Oh, in that sense, I can see what you're getting at. I was leaning toward no, because I like Everybody Comes to Hanks more than I like Super Mario Sunshine.
That is the caveat I gave Gary too.
It's a real shame that Mario Sunshine is wretched.
Yeah, that's
like just wretched.
That's the thing. I don't want to inadvertently say that I don't like Everybody Comes to Hanks. I like this. I like this better than Everybody Comes to Hanks. But to somebody who is unaware of the provenance of Luigi's Mansion, that would sound like I was really dissing on the previous episode, which I don't want to do.
Very fair.
Yeah.
Very fair.
Diplomatic. Cowardly.
Yeah, that's me. Hi, have we met?
Imagine your Until Dawn's like stat screen popping up with a picture of you just like shiftily looking back and forth, and it's just like diplomatic, cowardly, adventurous.
Ooh, all middle sliders, baby.
We talked about this in Everybody Comes to Hank, but this is the story of Dean going being an intern at Impossible Industries. And he does not know that Richard Impossible turned into a villain during various epos. He's still hanging around. Yeah. So this is Impossible and Phantom Limb building up a new team, the Revenge Society, and those scenes are great. I like all those team tryout shots are incredible.
Yeah. And the thing that I love most is Rusty's imposition on his son's life. Very horrible. Good. Just the emotional violence of denying your son that first little bit of independence. Like, Dean desperately needs to get out from under his dad's thumb, and then he's just steamrolled by him.
One of the things that really gives season 4 a lot of legs is the fact that you get this season-long story arc of Dean slowly being broken by everything.
Yeah, well, because we're getting Goth Dean, we're getting Goth shut-in Dean.
Oh yeah, we're a few episodes away from the breaking point of Goth Dean. Yeah. Like it doesn't happen this season, but like the moment of the season ender, like that's Goth Dean. That's the start.
Yeah,
I love Goth Dean origins.
Rusty's half-assed over-parenting is far more dangerous than Rusty's half-assed under-parenting, let's say.
Which is something. Holy shit, Rust.
Rusty, his motivation for being such a shitty parent during this is that he falls in love with musical theater through seeing The Music Man and decides to live with him. And writing a musical about his life, which ends up being my favorite musical moment in a show full of musical moments I love. This is my favorite Doc Hammer composition. I really want a full version of this song. I think it's really catchy, and I sing it all the time. Just walking around my house.
God, nobody has ever fallen in love with musical theater because of the fucking Music Man.
It's
I heard Shaboopy and the scales fell from my eyes. Come on.
The Music Man is that the one with right here in River City?
There will be trouble in River City, or something along those lines.
Something like that. It's what Lyle Landley from The Simpsons is based off of. Yeah.
Did you know that's about?
I was timing it to see how long it took for the monorail episode to come up, and it was about 20 seconds.
Did you? See, serious time, folks. Did you know that The Music Man is about a guy who comes to a small town to warn them about the danger of billiards? I'm not joking. It's about how billiards causes teen delinquency.
Yeah.
I had an ex who was real into The Music Man, I watched that shit.
You don't want them to play billiards. You want to buy these fancy trombones. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really ridiculous. Ooh, pool. We also get our first, explicit Avenger.
Yep.
Basically in the show, in the Brown Widow. I really liked Jackson talking about how excited he was that he finally got to do a Spider-Man after being able to do a Green Goblin.
Yeah.
I sure hope someone got fired for this one. But so Dean wears Spider-Man PJs, and he can't grok what a Spider-Man is. That's rough for me, guys.
While we're putting things on trial, I meant to mention this last episode. Cole, you and I missed something.
Did we now?
In Every Which Way But Zeus, they foreshadow General Traster getting cancer.
Do they?
Yeah, because he's like, I'm afeared of the kinkster.
I never noticed that. That's a good catch.
Yeah, I meant to bring it up during the episode, and I just forgot.
No, we missed it. Yeah.
Important context for Brown Widow casting that people may have forgotten. This would have been fresh off Nathan Fillion as Captain Hammer in the Doctor horrible
sing-along
musical.
Blog.
So he had nerd cred as a singer and a musical person.
In the art book, they acted surprised that he could sing.
Wild. I assumed that was always the point.
Yeah.
They were like, there's a part where 21 talks about meeting the cast of Firefly, and then Nathan Fillion tweeted them and was like, I love you guys. And they're like, do you want to work for us? And thus got him.
Yeah.
Cute.
The commentary
about
like a nice
going
dude.
to his house.
Yeah. Going to the house and playing the parlor game that resulted in one of them being electrocuted.
Yeah. Like the Gwen, if you haven't listened to the commentary, you got to listen to the commentary for multiple reasons. It's a worthwhile commentary, not because of insight into the episode. But he went to Nathan Fillion's house, which Jackson's like, he showed me a magic trick that was already in his pocket. And then we played a game where you got electroshocked if you didn't win.
He's rolling the fucking game. Ugh.
It's what kind of game is this?
So what you do is it's kind of like a drinking game. So everyone gets 4 buzzers, or everyone gets a buzzer.
Okay.
And basically there's a timer that goes off, and whoever hits the button last gets the shock.
Okay, so it's like a little reflex test. That sounds sadistic.
Or at least
it's like chicken.
Some
it's
variant of that.
Yeah, it's not how fast you can do it; it's how close to the buzzer you can do it without being the last one.
Gotcha.
So it's like two cars coming, and then if you don't, you get shocked.
Right.
And Nathan Fillion was just like, "Hey, stranger, would you like to see a magic trick? And then would you like to come to my electroshock party table in the back?"
And I also believe the other part of the game is that you don't necessarily know the amount of time before the buzzer goes off.
Right. So it's like a quick draw kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Again, it's slow draw, Cole. You don't want to you would get shocked in this game. You had to be the last person to do it, not the first.
I know. Come on.
It's not quick draw. It's slow draw, not reflex test. It's Yomi. It's anticipating the thing.
Yeah. So they were worried that it was going to be like too straight of a superhero parody, but I think that it's inspired to do the anatomically correct Spider-Man. The fact
it wasn't that well worn of a joke. Like, it's an easy joke, but like it hadn't really been done a whole ton. Like, it's the kind of joke that kids make on the playground that no one had ever done a high budget version of.
Yeah, I know that there's a man spider. Is this close to what that was?
Are you talking about the Frank Reynolds character?
I might be talking about the Frank Reynolds character.
Yeah, you're thinking you're a man bat.
But
there's no man spider.
There's a man spider. It was during it looks like Oh yeah, I think it might be from the Clone Saga.
Gotcha.
That garbage.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's Kurt Connor related. I'm not sure if it actually was from comics or from the animated series. Anyway, not the point. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't claim to be a Spider-Man expert anymore, Cole.
That's fine.
The Brown Widow character was almost a Batman parody called Night Knight, with spelled both ways, which they later switched to Night Dick in season 6 and gave a motorcycle that drives up.
Night Dick's so much better.
Night Dick is extremely good.
Yeah.
Everybody's working for the Night Dick.
We get a very fun villain recruiting montage. This is kind of a nice, let's say, compliment to Fallen Arches, right? Where we had something similar for the Order of the Triad. Part of this was an effort to get new characters into the pool of extras for background scenes. One thing that I'm kind of bummed out in the art book, they've got Beasterdamus, but they didn't give him a focus scene. I want to know what Beasterdamus would have predicted.
Yeah,
I don't think they could think of a joke. Like, that's a funny name, but like, what does Beasterdamus predict?
I don't know.
Terror. It was also our first appearance of Scare Bear, who was going to appear in more episodes. They talk in the commentary, but like, I was going to do an episode about this guy. Then later he does come back and is very important.
And some parts of the fandom are obsessed with figuring out who this is, but it's probably just a crazy homeless man.
That's probably just a guy.
Unhomed person. Sorry.
Yeah. It's Bum Rush from OSI, Falling on Hard Times.
Yeah.
Bum Rush.
I love Bum Rush. The commentary is real weird because they kind of don't like each other a little bit. I get the sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of like weird little snipes. Yeah.
So imagine
it's antagonistic.
So we know from the art book that season 4 was a rough one for them, right?
Right.
Yes.
When do they record the commentaries? Before they start working on season 5.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're probably pretty pissed just from the general work environment at that time. Like, I'm curious if it sounds like they get friendlier once the season production cycle starts to slow down for the next few.
Yeah. It's hard to tell exactly like what's going on, because usually they're pretty chummy and they're kind of laughing at each other, but they are kind of getting each other's goat.
Yeah.
In this, largely, like, it sounds to me like Jackson is genuinely tired and annoyed. And Doc is making jokes that have a little bit of truth to them.
Yeah.
Like, Doc is joking about being upset when Jackson doesn't describe what happens in the episode, but he's also actually is a little bit really upset. Yeah. And they also describe Doc's weird apartment, which sounds horrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
He really loves it, but like the plumbing doesn't work. It's not like he hasn't had a light in his bathroom for years.
Is this the inspiration for Dean's shitty studio?
Yeah, they took,
a little bit.
They took reference photos. He describes it as a railroad apartment, and
doesn't change his litter box. You don't deserve cats. That's fucked up.
Yeah. It's like
come on, dude.
He did like Jackson describes it as looking like the quarry where Fred Flintstone works.
Flintstone works. Yeah. Like, it is full of clumps. And then there's
I don't like that.
No.
Yeah, Doc smokes in there all the time. He's like, yeah, it doesn't smell. And like, I believe him when because Jackson confirms it.
Oh, really?
You know?
But wait, he's a smoker too.
Yeah, they both smoke.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
No. I need an unbiased, non-nicotine source to confirm that.
Yeah.
I could probably smell it from here. Like, I'm very sensitive to that smell. I don't trust them with that either. It's real weird detail. It sounds like a total shithole. Yeah. It was just cheap.
Well, so. he moved in after a woman died, and he got a really good rate on it because they didn't renovate it. And there were like holes pounded in the walls with claw hammers and stuff.
Yeah, the last thing she did before she died was pound holes in the wall with a claw hammer.
Yeah.
Or they might be, there was the relatives looking for grandma's treasure.
Living in New York is a goddamn nightmare. I don't recommend doing it.
Oh no, I would rather die. Like, I can't imagine it. Like,
I did it for 3 months, and I still have horrors. Just had nightmares about that apartment.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Let's get into it.
Let's do. Opens up with a montage. We have Phantom Limb narrating all of the revenge that they have wreaked against the enemies of the Revenge Society. Anybody who had wronged them, up to and including killing Dr. and Mrs. the Monarch.
With well-placed sleeper agents, the Pupae twins.
Yeah.
So foreshadowing those guys, getting written off the show for being shitheads.
Yeah.
They never really developed that story, but this foreshadows a lot. It foreshadows a lot of Gargantua 2 stuff.
Yeah.
And then just like a lot of things they're going to do eventually.
Yeah. We get girl Hitler here being electrocuted because she usurped Baron Underbite. Yeah. And then we got the council being wiped out one by one, and kind of the commonality is that like they're using Impossible Industries and all the subsidiaries to get at these folks.
Yeah, pretty fun, and he's just kind of laying it out for the crew, for the Revenge Society. Turns out this is fake. Richard Impossible interrupts him by saying, "Are we really, are we stuck on that name, the Revenge Society? What about the Violet Hour? It's T.S. Eliot,
And then Underbite actually has a pretty good one, the Purple Prose.
Yeah.
This scene is so good. Just reminds me of bands arguing about, what is our sound? Should I use a reverb pedal?
Yeah, I found out my girlfriend is listening to a D&D podcast where the characters play as dogs that has the perfect name, which is Fetch Quest.
Oh, that's really good.
Isn't that
Yep.
isn't that the like platonically perfect name for a D&D campaign of dogs?
Oh, yeah, that's fantastic.
Beautiful.
Got it.
That's an award-winning title.
Yeah. Absolute bullseye, 100%. Lim says, not so fast. We're not going to call ourselves the Purple Pros. You still haven't proven your loyalty. And he's like, oh no, I know how this works. He snaps the manservant's neck.
Yeah.
Here. Yeah. It turns out they just wanted him to sign a form.
Yeah, I thought it was a loyalty ritual. I didn't even recognize him as the manservant. Yeah.
Yeah, that's manservant. Yeah. Manservant. And then the knock on the door, Richard shoos everyone away, and it's Dean.
Yes.
This is the big reveal, is that's where Dean got his internship.
Yep. So he's working 2 jobs. He's not just delivering piping hot coffee to his boss. He is also still writing the Venture Home News for all you Venturoos out there.
Dean EV. How much would either of you two kill to get a lifetime subscription to the Venture Home News?
I don't know.
Just to know what's going on? Yeah. Especially from Dean's perspective specifically?
Exactly. Like, don't you want to get the Dean's eye view?
I would kill 2 men. 2.
I would kill 2 bad men. So
I have to not know them. It has to be kind of like a slaughterhouse situation.
Oh, right. like rope or something. Yeah. Strangers on a train.
But Dean is talking about his arrival in New York, saying he arrived right as Richard Impossible was firing everyone, when the company was taking its turn to being illegit, and Richard had no idea that he hired this rival's son, so he made him an executive assistant, the only other employee at the company.
Yep, he answers phones. He does the coffee orders just the way they liked it. 3 different coffee orders.
This is kind of like the last bastion of hope that Dean has that the world is innocent and naive.
Yeah.
Because it's really illustrating like his perspective versus like the reality of how he clearly has no idea what the fuck is going on.
No. And it's heartbreaking later because like the thing that disenchants him isn't so much that it's villains. It's like, I thought that I could get away from these assholes in costumes, but I can't.
Yeah. The Dean has a pretty consistent character arc.
Yeah.
Throughout the show. They show his apartment, this 1-room tenement under a bridge, that Hank found him. This rent-controlled apartment where somebody died. The commentary, they took reference photos from Doc's apartment. It also really reminded me of the apartment in Big.
Yep.
I was surprised that wasn't a direct reference because this has big vibes.
Big
vibes. Yeah. But he spruces it up. Don't worry. He puts up an inspirational poster that has a picture of a dolphin and the word encouragement on it.
Yeah. Just encouragement. He has to make his own fun. Yeah. So he dresses up as Spider-Man and jumps on the bed and does the corner climb and stuff.
Yeah.
Dean, you could just walk around the streets of New York. Like,
oh yeah.
Just go walk. There's stuff.
Gwen, Dean would get eaten alive.
He would, but...
Can you imagine Dean surviving You walking around New York?
You get on the subway and you never get off.
Not Dean. He'd be drowning in piss.
He's too pure for this world. Oh man. He doesn't have any money for food, so he eats K rations that Sergeant Hatred sends him.
Yeah, so gross. I love this little thing where he drops the can, and then 1,000 cockroaches run into it, and then immediately run out of it unseen.
That's the best joke in the episode. I love that. Good. It's disgusting.
Hey, and this is where Doc reveals that he just has cockroaches. They're just less brave than this. And I'm like, man, it's gross. Your apartment is so nasty.
It's just a fact of life out there.
No, that's true. But why do people live there?
I agree. I don't know.
The density is untenable, and there are bugs everywhere. Like the times I've been there, it lived up to the like it smelled like piss a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It sure is a lot of people.
Yeah,
a lot of them crammed into a real tiny space.
But I don't want to live in a small town like where I grew up. I'm going to stick it to my mom and dad, and I'm going to go and move to a place where everybody's miserable, including me.
Yeah, the big city where I have to work 4 jobs to share a studio with somebody.
Yeah,
that's where I'm going to live my dreams. Then Rusty shows up. He gets a knock on the door, which is very surprising, and it's Rusty. Open up, my boy. The rats can smell the combos in my bag.
Then he drops.
Y'all like combos? I used to eat those as a kid.
No, yeah. I don't especially care for them. They just materialize in cars during road trips.
The pretzel ones are better than the bread ones, but like the filling is never amazing.
Yeah, the cracker ones are gross because they just melt in your mouth. The pretzel ones have a little bit of salt to cut through.
It's a pretzel. It really is a pretzel. So like,
yeah, it's got that going for it. It's but yeah, they're rough stuff. But I will eat a combo, and I've eaten more than my share of combos. I would say.
That's kind of where I'm at. Yeah. Like I'm not going to turn my nose up at a combo. I'm not that high class.
I'm not
Cat. Oh my god.
I'm not going to pretend that I'm better than a combo. You know.
Yeah. No. If I'm better than a combo, it's the combo from Breaking Bad.
The combo's a saint. Well, no,
yeah,
I mean not exactly a saint. He was solid, is what combo was.
He fucked over his aunt pretty bad.
Oh yeah, you're right. Fuck him. Also, Rusty drops an obscure reference. This is sometimes these work, but this one feels very Dennis Miller-y to me.
A little bit.
When he looks at Rusty's or at Dean's shitty apartment, he says, "What are you waiting for Jacob Reese to take your picture?"
That's almost certainly a Doc Hammer line.
No, it's Doc calls him out.
It does.
Doc
really
for him, yeah. And I was like, no, it's just not in your wheelhouse.
No,
if this had been some painter, like you would have been fine with it.
Yeah, and Jacob Reese is just a photographer, famous in those circles for taking pictures of urban blight, slums and such.
Yeah. Rusty reveals that he's here because Music Man made him bonkers for Broadway, and he's going to stay for a week. Dean tries to push back about this, and he's just like, no. If you need your own space, just put the tie on the door. This is my lucky tie. We know that Rusty didn't get laid in college.
No.
But he says you can put that on the door, and then just immediately makes himself at home.
Yeah. You won't even know I'm here as he starts hanging up his clothes all over the apartment. And
Dean has to sleep in the bathtub. That's in the same room because New York's a nightmare.
Rusty just whips out a typewriter and is typing loudly as Dean is trying to sleep. I get the overhead shot that shows the chalk outline of the previous occupants still on the floor.
Oh yeah, very good. We go back over to the Revenge Society, and they've created a little commercial that advertises them as an alternative to the guild. So they're planning to operate outside the guild, which is cool and interesting. And Lim says, we need to man up. We need to recruit people because of Spalm, not the shitty comic, but the 5 powers that a villain team needs: speed, power, air, water or weather, or magic.
And Underbite says, "Oh, how cool would it be if we had a fire guy because of the water? We need an elemental in this." Richard's like, "Oh, now that you mention a fire guy, kind of a dangling thread from before is like back in Ice Station Impossible, the Human Torch equivalent was introduced. Yeah, Cody. It was introduced like, when he comes in contact with oxygen, he catches fire. This is one of the most evil things I've seen on a show. or on this show specifically.
It's also directly from Planescape Torment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
yeah, but it's not your brother-in-law in Planescape, is it?
No. It's your student.
Yeah,
there's a power imbalance.
Very fair.
True.
Wait, well, okay, let's talk about this. Is it more evil if it's a power imbalance? Or more evil if you're supposed to be unequal with this person?
I think it's more evil if it's a power imbalance because I think family is fake. And family-in-law is doubly fake. Like I have a sister-in-law from my first marriage, and it's like I
guess there's still a power imbalance because he's
not on fire,
differently abled.
Because he has a condition. Yeah,
he has a condition which makes him constantly burn.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's pretty equally evil, I'd say.
I don't know what Cody's options are, because being held in the oxygenless stasis that he was before didn't seem that great either. Like, he's either got to be unconscious or in agonizing pain. But what Richard does, which is keep him in a chamber, like a reactor chamber, so he can power all of Impossible Industries, that's fucking evil. And gloating that it makes your tower 100% green, A, is a very fun joke about greenwashing, but B, like, you cannot profit off of somebody's misery. Oh my god,
just eternal misery of being on fire forever. I love Cody. I'm really glad they brought Cody back.
Yeah.
If I were a writer in the Venture Brothers room, which they didn't have, but if I were, I would have pitched that Cody should have they should have mentioned that he had regenerative powers, and he should have been constantly burning through his nerve endings until he didn't scream, and then he was fine for a few hours until his nerves regenerated, and then he had to scream again.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I would have done. Then you could have had him in society, and he would just randomly scream during the middle of scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun scream. It's a real good scream.
But Lim's like, oh, and you thought you couldn't be a villain. Like, even Lim is impressed at the bastardry of this.
Classic Professor Impossible.
Mm-hmm.
So Dean goes, he thinks Rusty's going to pick him up. He goes to the plaza outside. Rusty's there. He's like, no, I brought lunch to you. Sit down, act natural, doing this kind of skullduggery thing. But really, he wants him to make copies of his script, his Broadway musical.
Rust.
Yep.
And I love how he has, Rust by a musical by Rusty Venture, and then in parentheses, written in one night, which is like, no, you don't advertise that. Come on.
Richard stretches his ear down there, and all he heard, they find out Dr. Venture's there. They're freaked out. All they really heard, though, was that it was industrial espionage and something about Annie, get your gun. So Phantom Lim is like, okay, this is great. This is opportunity. He is the one common element of all of our downfall. He took out Underland. He took, took your wife and passed him off for sloppy seconds to his brother. This is our first assignment. We must kill him.
Yeah. And they act very quickly. Like in the same scene, Rusty hails a cab, deciding he's going to stay a couple of extra weeks to try and find somebody who to play him, and also negging his son's acting skills. I
love this. It's very funny.
Yeah.
You'd think that a villain as smart as Phantom Limb would have noticed by now that Rusty has some sort of protagonist syndrome about him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And seems to get out of these things no matter how well thought out a plan is. But
yeah. You would think that they would step up their A game, as opposed to this logistical nightmare of poor planning that they put together, having Baron Underbite drive up in this cab with the knockout gas emitter at the front. And not even a Squid Game gas mask on Baron Underbite to keep him from getting knocked out.
I would also argue that Rusty's being a little bit harsh on Dean's acting abilities, given we've seen him perform in Lady Windermere's Lover, or Windermere's Fan.
I don't know. The reviews I've heard was that it was the worst version of Lady Windermere's Fan.
I tried to have the birds and the bees talk with Dean.
He put up
Lady Windermere's Fan.
I love that line.
It's super good. Rusty gets in the cab where Underbite is the driver. And the the touchscreen comes on. The doors lock him in. The touchscreen goes on to deliver the villain speech, but he can't hear it because his eyes are closed and he has earbuds in. So Richard activates the knockout gas, which comes into the driver's side. Only. Yeah, knocking out Underbite.
Rusty had closed the divider, and so the car goes out of control until it is stopped by your friendly neighborhood brown widow.
Yes. We talked about it a little bit before, but the anatomically correct Spider-Man is great. The little spinnerets that are right above his butt and the grunts he has to make to use them is really gross and really good.
I think this is actually in Brown Widow's second appearance, but there's a point where his hair moves and you find out he has 6 extra eyes up on his forehead.
Yeah, you see that
here.
They
don't reveal that here, but they do talk about it in the commentary because Doc's like, I'd love to write for him, and Jackson's like, just remember, he has extra eyes on his forehead that are hidden by his hair.
Yeah.
So that was planned this early, but they never show it.
Yeah, and also his mutation, he's not as old as he looks. He looks like he's in his late 40s, but because of the mutation, he's aging more quickly. Yeah.
The opposite problem of the comic Spider-Man, where so there's a piece of trivia. Peter David was asked once, how does Spider-Man have 2 jobs and be a superhero? Because this was during the early 2000s where Spider-Man had 4 different ongoing titles at the same time. And Peter David replied that we never said that the Marvel Universe had only 24 hours in the day.
Ooh. Airbud rules.
48-hour a day where everybody works 4 jobs. 8 hours rest, 40 hours, 32 hours labor, 8 hours what you will. So he crashes here, and he's doing Spider-Man shtick.
Yeah.
He's like, be sure to tip your driver. And Rusty's like, you fucking maniac, I almost died. Which is more people need to do that to Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite deconstruction of Spider-Man. It's like, you're not a comedian. Who's giggling here?
Yeah. But there are stakes. Planet Hulk just came down and killed a lot of people, man. Please stop making jokes for a second.
Have some goddamn respect. Yeah. But
I love this. So they're going through and they're doing the post game on how it went. And Phantom Limb is giving impossible shit about why he did it, and he's just like, I've never done this before. And I love Phantom Limb's like, okay, let's focus on the pros. Underbite made a passable cabbie up until you gassed him. Very good.
Yeah.
But Dean walks in at this point.
Yeah.
He was running late from eating his fries.
Yeah, and he thinks that Underbite and Phantom Limb are here to attack his boss. So he pulls out a whistle and a telescoping baton and starts trying to subdue them, which is pretty brave on his part.
He takes out the Revenge Society.
He does.
Almost. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The Phantom Limb shocks him. It's like, oh, you just killed the Venture Boy. Not really. We cut to past the commercial, and Dean wakes up in the Impasa car with Richard. Explaining his fake cover story.
Yes, these poor fellas, they have served their time, but nobody will hire them. And does that sound like the America you live in, Dean? No, that's exactly the America we live in. But that
he doesn't want to live in.
But that's why Richard has started the Impasa Care Second Chance Hiring Initiative. to rehabilitate them. Yeah,
it's very good, and promotes him to human resources so he can do the next little audition scene. Drops him off where he gets beamed in the head by Rusty, who had fought a prowler with his typewriter earlier.
Horrid.
We can get the Rusty and typewriter versus prowler scene.
And now we get to the wonderful centerpiece of this episode for me, the auditions, which is just a chance for them to go back to the old notebooks from the Tick for the unused ideas there, and just have these little one joke, one scene wonder kind of guys.
Did you folks notice that Curse was cheating on the Triad by showing up here?
No, I didn't.
Curse is in this group.
Huh?
But did Curse? But I thought Curse failed his audition.
You're right, yeah.
So I don't think he has an arch technically, and I'm sure maybe he's pissed off at the guild.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, you know what? asked and answered. You got me, Gwen. That was a test, and you passed.
You're welcome. It was Torrid who got the gig, and they were talking about how they needed a fire type, and Curse answered the call.
Yeah,
it's all a flat circle, Gary. Let me show you the show called True Detective. You'll understand.
Now there's this place called Carcosa.
This audition scene is super fun to me. In the commentary, they're kind of down on it. Like Jackson at one point, he's like, "Oh, we have like 3 montages in the show. They're all great, though."
Yeah,
this is amazing. This is one of the best scenes in the show.
Yeah, I love this stuff. So we get Mr. Polygamy, along with Mrs. Polygamy, Mrs. Polygamy, Mrs. Polygamy, and Mrs. Polygamy.
4 arms and 4 wives.
Yep. And of course, there's a little joke about Mormons.
Yeah.
Because I said, what exactly does magic underwear do?
Yeah.
I was like 35 before I learned about Mormons and magic underwear.
Oh, yeah?
Like the vestments. It was pretty amazing.
There's so much going on there that the magic underwear, it takes a second to really comprehend that magic underwear is even on the list.
I felt like it had to have been fake when I'd heard references to it before, and then realized, like, I dated an ex-Mormon, and she's like, "No, this is all real. Let me explain the stuff to you." I'm like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
They don't call it magic underwear.
No, they get
we call it magic underwear.
They get really offended when you call them that. Actually,
they're called like the vestments or something like that.
Yeah, temple garments. Yeah.
But it's magic underwear, and it's incredible stuff.
Yeah.
The next character, he says Chuck Luck. His name is Giant Indian. Is the name of this character.
There we go. Yeah.
It's referencing Apache Chief from the Super Friends, who is a pretty ridiculous character.
Yep.
So good. I just like that he's faking it. I'm just gonna trick y'all. Y'all aren't that observant, right?
It makes the noise too, right?
Yeah. Didn't you see it? I just grew like 2 or 3 inches.
You saw it?
Yeah, I kind of did. I
think so. Jesus Christ.
Richard just trying to make lemonade out of the lemons here.
Richard is an optimist. I'll give him that.
Yeah. Apache Chief, he was the client and the pilot for Harvey Birdman. He was the first case in a parody of the McDonald's hot coffee case. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No. One of the 2 characters who actually joins here is Fat Chance. Who is kind of looks like the Blob, but he's more like the Spot.
Yeah, I was about to say he's really close to Spot.
Yeah, he's before you make your weight remarks, I was the subject of an experiment. I got this portal through different dimensions in my duodenum. And he can just he has a hole in his stomach, he can just pull random objects out from.
The fact that it says duodenum is really gross to me. He's reaching into the first 6 inches of his small intestine. He's got a portal on the front of him, like they have at those cows at like animal husband like agriculture schools. Where you can just reach in and feel the organs and stuff. Yeah, no.
Wait, the first 6 inches of his small intestine.
First 6 inches of a small intestine, yeah.
Which is after you've already absorbed all the nutrients out of food, right?
No, that's where the majority of nutrients are absorbed.
Oh, so like he's malnourished. Oh no.
Yeah, it's being sent to alternate dimensions every time. You have all these alternate dimensions just receiving little boluses every couple of hours.
Oh God! Think about the food that just ends up down in the later parts of the intestine. Yeah. Oh no!
Yeah, pretty dark.
Yeah,
and then one of those like pun things that I think is so perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Lady Hawk Johnson and Mr. Lyndon B. Is a reference to Lyndon B. Johnson and Lady Hawk Johnson and the movie
Bird.
Lady Hawk.
Yeah.
Lady Bird Johnson.
Lady Bird, there you go.
Yeah. But a reference to the movie Lady Hawk, which is a really weird fucking movie. If you've never seen it. But it's so clever together. And then the callback later because they recruited.
Yeah.
They're in the Revenge Society. It's so good.
Yeah.
So the line, by night I'm a bird and by day he's a bee and never the twain shall meet. Like I repeat never the twain shall meet because of this.
Oh, always, yeah.
This lives in my head. And
I love how she says she's just so cheery, except during the eclipse, of course.
Which is like that's the Hawkman underneathness of all this too, because there was at some point there was like Hawkman, Hawkwoman can't be in the same timeline at the Hawkman's a fucking mess. I don't know if y'all know that.
Yeah,
I
didn't read him on account of it being Hawkman.
Yes,
I was like, this is lame.
Gary, you're not a DC person. You're a Marvel person, and if you ever read DC, one of the things you have to accept is that sometimes the continuity is just a fucking mess.
Well, it's not even the continuity. Like I have the same problem with Hawkman that I do with Hamilton. Like that's a rap musical about the founding fathers. Therefore, he's disqualifying no matter how good it is.
Right.
Hawkman looks like Hawkman and is Hawkman. That's too stupid for me.
What's a Marvel character you can never read because it's too stupid?
Oh boy,
is there one?
No, maybe not. There are ones I don't like, but nothing that's too stupid.
But DC has too stupid. All right, all right, I get it.
The Hawk people, man. I can't get into a race of bird people through DC or Metroid. Like if it's just I'm done.
In certain continuities, they're aliens who are bird cops. It don't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, no thanks. And then you get Martian Manhunter. I'm good. I don't know.
The Martian Manhunter represents the Earth element, and I don't understand. That feels like it's against the rules.
I'm so glad that the creators of the show are into Marvel stuff and not DC shit, because I would have a totally different relationship with it if, like, when they meet the Avengers, they were all based on, the Justice League. Like
they already did. Like their Justice League was a joke. It was the Action News team.
Like, I do like the Action News team.
It's when they do DC characters, they do it in a way that is kind of poking fun at the stiffness of it. Generally,
yeah, it's a little less direct as well.
Yeah,
like Ghost Robot isn't a Justice League guy.
It's kind of like Green Lantern, but not really.
Yeah, maybe I can kind of see it a little bit.
Okay, I'm back. What did I miss?
Nothing.
DC Comics. So Scare Bear is a Care Bear pun. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Sorry, I didn't mean to shit on your guys' conversation. I realized
us not acknowledging it wasn't because we were offended. The origin of Scare Bear is great. Because it's just Jackson running into a stock photo of a man in a bear suit standing in an office and being creeped out by it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
And then Brick Frog, which I thought was a thing other than Jackson's just childhood, but it was one of his friends. Yeah. Just made up this character when he was a kid.
Yeah. They had a frog costume from a play. And they used it when they were playing superheroes, and they needed a concept for it, so he just picked up a brick and said, "I'm Brick Frog."
Yeah. Okay, that's wonderful. Knowing that that's a childhood thing, that is wonderful.
It's got huge kid logic.
Yeah, well, but like here, I love it. It's great because we see him, and it's just like super lame, and all he does is just say "Brick Frog," and then next.
There's a frog that Spider-Man fights as well, but I cannot remember who that frog is. So it might just be Frogman.
No.
And then later they're like, "Oh, we have one more interview." Gentleman has been waiting since dusk, and it's the second half of the Lyndon B. Lady Hawk interview, and it's Lyndon B. Johnson.
I love that the Lady Hawk is holding a post-it note in her beak that says, "We need milk." I'll be sure to get this, because that's how they would have to communicate, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Very cute. So Dean returns home after this very long day of doing auditions, and he hears his dad inside the apartment and sees a tie on the doorknob. So he's very upset. He walks in thinking, maybe he's going to interrupt some tie on the doorknob stuff. But in fact, Rusty is just roller skating around the apartment. It's the most popular play in Germany is Starlight Express, which is an Andrew Lloyd Webber play about a magical train. Mm-hmm. And all the actors wear roller skates.
Yeah,
right, surely there's like a roller skate rink you could go around and do in New York, right?
100%.
No, that would cost money.
There's no way that these floorboards are not warped by like urine and blood.
I mean, that's the other thing. Like, those aren't going to be. You're not going to have a flat surface in that fucking apartment.
Mm-hmm. No, it's going to be real rough on your ankles. Yeah. Gosh.
Dean's super mad because he moved the furniture around to give him a stage, and he blocked the bathroom. And I need to use the toilet. And Rusty's like, number one, use the tub. That's what I do. And that's where Dean's been sleeping.
Yeah.
So pretty rough.
Nightmares. We get a cutaway. So Dean made the classic mistake. He made the copies of the script for Rusty to distribute, but he left the original in the tray, the original Rust script. Underbite has found it, And all of them like, oh gosh, you're going to have to check this out.
Big threat level midnight energy to that.
Yeah.
Very funny to me. I wanted more of them goofing on the script.
Yeah. The time desk from Community. Yeah.
That certainly was in the original draft and they had to cut it.
Oh.
Yeah, I imagine so. Rusty's working on the music on his little $15 thrift store keyboard here, and Dean goes out on the deck to get some air. And Braun Widow comes down. I love this where he's just like, are you okay, young man? And he's like, well, I can't really talk about it. He's like, I understand. If you can't speak, blink twice. I can rescue you. Which is a good joke that came before the days of like being in the airport and seeing signs about child trafficking everywhere.
Yeah.
Like this pre-taken world where this kind of thing was funny, as opposed to it being not only a real life tragedy, but also something co-opted by QAnon assholes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just just shitty all around. Just blink twice if he's your pimp. Like, and Dean starts kind of commiserating. He says like, "Oh my gosh," talking about I thought this internship would be different. I'm up at Impossible Industries, and it's not as good as Brown Widow thinks it is. Like, he's not going to be able to write his own ticket. He's not even doing any super science stuff. Yeah.
And Brown Widow says like, I was in the super science game too, doing my radioactive spider thesis. And you think he's going to give him this heart to heart, but he gets distracted by the music, leading into like one of my favorite scenes in this, and also a trope that I really love. This reminds me of Nightman from It's Always Sunny. Like, anytime somebody's writing a song and they're doing something very amateurish, and then the other person in the scene is like, "Oh, I like that," like what's going on there? And it's really good because it's Rusty's really just kind of fumbling around. Like, I really like where they end up. Like, the chord changes in the song are really interesting, and like, this is a cool song, but it's still just him just kind of hitting a Casio and someone being like, "Ooh, what do you got going on there?"
He says, "What is this? What is that enchanting music?"
It's very cute. Dean tries to stand up to his dad while Brown Widow and Rusty sing their amazing song.
Yeah. With lyrics about like hiding in barrels from mummies and stuff. It's just literally just a transcription of what things that happened in the Rusty Venture show.
So that was the draft, was that. But when you listen to the lyrics, they don't talk about that stuff at all. They're just like, metal fingers, they linger with evil mothers, not brothers. Like, it's just nonsense.
Yeah.
There's nothing about mummies. There's nothing about barrels. It's just, I think that's what they were goofing around on. The actual result of it has no such reference.
Yeah.
It's way weirder. And like, it's like the Butter Glider song where the rhymes just happen because they rhyme.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rusty has found his Rusty, and Brown Widow has perfect spider pitch as well. So he can do the job.
He deserves it.
Yeah. I'd love to see Rusty.
Yeah. The phone rings. There's a communal payphone out in the hallway. And Rusty goes to answer it. It's Fat Chance pretending to be Frank Big Time from Big Time Productions, saying, "Oh, I found your script. You want to call you in for a meeting right away if you can."
Very good. Dean, goes back to work as well to write a letter of resignation. And it's interrupted when Richard cuts the power, so they can do this dramatic entrance, and they can all say like every draft of a villain line. To Venture. It's very good. Like, you're gonna escape, Fat Chance. A lot of that stuff. And then that's when you see that they recruited Lyndon B to the Revenge Society, which I love.
He just steps up. This is so good. You shall not seek, and I will not accept your escape.
Fantastic. Like, what Lyndon B. Johnson trope are you really going to call besides that?
Well, you could make a reference to the phone call that he makes to the tailor, talking about leaving enough room for his ball sack in the pants. Now my waistline fluctuates by about 12 inches in a month. A little bit too tight on the bunghole. Oh, I love that. I love that recording so much.
They converge, they think they're going to kill Dr. Venture, but Fat Chance trips over Phantom Lim's invisible leg and falls on him, sending Rusty into the Enigma hole. Dean goes down to check the power, which he just goes to the circuit breaker thinking it'll just be normal, but sees Cody trapped in there. And he lets him out. He's very well-meaning, our sweet Dean.
Yeah. Cody is screaming, setting the entire top floor on fire, and Dean is chasing him with an extinguisher and also a fireman's helmet that he found.
With home, it says fire marshal written in handwriting.
Yeah.
He muted himself. It's very cute. And he's like, fire, please exit in an orderly manner. It's I love Dean just, being the proctor.
Yeah.
Big hall monitor energy.
And the episode ends with the script for Rust being burned up. And then we get the credits played over. And unfortunately not full. Like, this is not a full length. There's no full length version of this, but a dance version of the I'm Rusty song.
Mm-hmm. Which I would love a full version. Then we get our post credits, which actually wraps up the episode. This feels like a Dr. Hammer episode until it actually gets its resolution here. Where we see the scene from the last episode. Dean comes in, my super science career went up in smoke, but I may have grabbed my dreams from the ashes. And then the portal opens with Rusty. Previously, he just stood there and there was a question mark, and that was it. But this time he pops through and he pulls our real Dr. Venture out, who attempted to take his place. You're the Dean of this dimension, right? You tell the untalented Mr. Ripley here that he can't just hit me with a brick and take over just because I have more hair, money, and status than he does.
and it hit musical on Broadway.
And fine. I don't even like your dimension anyway. It's an asshole dimension. How do you like that?
I liked the dismissal Alt Rusty gave Dean, Daddy, if only you'd be so lucky, I think was the line. But Jesus Christ.
Just nothing but contempt.
Well, he doesn't want to know the Dean that this Rusty raised. I'm sure it's a shit Dean compared to his Dean.
Yeah, he also, you don't want an extra Dean.
That's the thing.
You don't want 19 extra Deans.
No, one Dean at a time is what you want. Real cute ending to me. I like the way it puts everything together. They really wisely in the commentary, they talk about how they could do more stuff with this other dimension, but they didn't because their version of it is just having this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which I like a lot. There's an implied good dimension, but it's not Rick and fucking Morty.
Right.
We're not gonna get into all the different multi, ventures.
It's very Galactic Inquisitor in the end, because that needs no follow-up. It doesn't. Yeah, it can just exist within the universe, and it makes sense.
Yeah, let it be there. Let it be tantalizing if you want more.
Yeah. The next episode we're covering has one of the Doc Hammeriest endings that I've ever seen. They don't even show any of the stuff that ends the conflict happening. Just fast forwards through the climactic action just be like, it's over now. Thank God we got through that. But that is for next episode. Gwen, do we have any final thoughts before we move on?
I love this show, this podcast, and this cartoon.
Thank you. Yeah, you're a big part of it. It would not be the same without your support and help.
Yeah. This I don't know that I have anything in addition to what I've already said about this episode. It's a delight.
Mm-hmm. It's setting up stuff I like for the future. Mm-hmm. So it's not fully done in one. It's all this stuff is going to matter, and it's my favorite Phantom Limb stuff in a long time.
Yeah.
This is Phantom Limb finding his home among these weirdos, and then I like him more, as opposed to what feels like a kind of ultra competent pet character.
Yeah,
in some of the other appearances.
Just he was too successful before. He needs to be a failure to fit in with the rest of the show. And be interesting as a result of that. Yeah.
And previously it always felt a little bit like they were having it both ways. Mm-hmm. He was a maniac, and he was clearly not mentally well, he had lost his mind, but he always still just won. Mm-hmm. And that was really strange. Yeah.
So. It was hard to tell, he was a foil for the Monarch, but he was also existing as a foil for the guild itself. I don't know. This is a good place for him, to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too.
No.
Gwen, where can people find you online?
All right. So last few times I was here, I talked about getting a music business set up. I failed. Instead, what happened is I started a band. Cool. And that's happening pretty hard right now. By the time this comes out, you can find our first single on Spotify or wherever you listen to music, blah, blah, blah. It's on Bandcamp too. Easiest place to look us up is Instagram. We are called Trash Sound Conglomerate, and I play bass, and I write a bunch of the stuff.
Cool. Nice.
I don't know. I'm not sure what the audience is for people listening to this show to be into the kind of weirdo punk music that we make. I can't say it sounds like the theme song to the show, but I still did them both. So I guess the last thought is if anyone's on the West Coast, we're around. We're mostly in the Seattle area for right now, but Portland cannot be too far away.
Nice.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out. Everything. And people listen to this also listen to music. You know, I hope that people listen to podcasts don't just listen to podcast theme songs like weirdos will.
Say someone has just like a mix CD of podcast theme songs in their car that they put on all the time.
Oh no!
And it's just like, oh right, it's the fucking it's the goddamn Long Winters again. Great, love this song. Nothing is possibly problematic about the guy in this band.
Here's the original version of the Retronauts song, a rare B-side now. You know? Yeah, they listen to normal music.
Yeah,
I hope.
Trash sound conglomerate.
Yeah, check it out.
And if you just want to talk to me, I'm on the Slack. That is all.
Yeah, indeed. If you want to support the show in general, you go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv, get episodes a week early, and get a bunch of bonus shows. Yeah, and then ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts or Podcast Addict, or telling your venture friends.
Yeah,
your venturinos.
Yeah. And until next time, go to the adventure.